Hello friends, welcome to a new lecture on MCQ session of stomach. So, a patient comes with question number 1. A patient comes with hematemesis and melena. On upper GI endoscopy, there is no significant bleeding. 2 days later, the patient rebleeds. The next line of investigation is, so if there is rebleeding, then now you should find where the bleeding is occurring. What is the site of bleeding? So for this, we should do a repeat GI endoscopy and find the cause of bleeding in the first place. Then, actually, the upper GI hemorrhage can be localized by endoscopy within 24 hours of bleeding. So, in selective cases, early endoscopy is done in 6 to 12 hours. If endoscopy does not localize the site, then re-endoscopy should be done during the second episode. And even after doing the endoscopy again for the second time, even after that, if you are not able to localize the bleeding, then you should do angiography. Angiography is advised. Then question number 21. So question number 2. Young patient, first episode of coffee ground vomiting. Ideal management is young patient, first episode of coffee ground vomiting. Ideal management is, if there is a vomitus, that is hematemesis, then it can be, the most common cause is duodenal ulcer bleed. So first you will have to confirm or identify the cause of bleeding. So for that, the first episode you should do emergency upper GI scopy. Then question number 3. Which of the following is a curative lesion? Resection. So we have 4 types of resection: R0, R1, R2, R3. R0 is called as curative resection. Why? Because in R0, if you do R0, there will be microscopic margin is negative in specimen. In R0, the microscopic margin is negative in the specimen, whereas in R1, microscopic margin is positive in the specimen, whereas in R2, macroscopic margin is positive in the specimen. In R2, macroscopic margin is positive. In R1, microscopic margin is positive. In R0, microscopic margin is negative. So, this is R0 is a curative lesion. Then, a 66-year-old female is posted for subtotal gastrectomy for adenocarcinoma. The important procedure related complication is, what is the complication of subtotal gastrectomy? So, in subtotal gastrectomy, here the complication can be bilious vomiting. This bilious vomiting is, normally between the stomach and the duodenum, we have the pyloric sphincter. This pyloric sphincter prevent the contents of the duodenum to reach the stomach or to get vomited out. But once you do subtotal gastrectomy, you are actually removing the antrum, pylorus and a part of body of stomach, and that pyloric sphincter is removed. So there is nothing which will there is nothing to block the reflex. So there is increased chances of bile reflexing out from the duodenum to the stomach. So it can lead to bile reflex gastritis. That is most commonly bilious vomiting. So this is a complication of subtotal gastrectomy. Then question number 5. most commonly performed procedure and acceptable method of bariatric surgery. There are many bariatric surgeries available, but among them, Rox and Y procedure is most commonly performed and bariatric procedure. Rox and Y procedure is most commonly performed bariatric procedure. But nowadays, sleeve gastrectomy is the most rapidly increasing procedure to be followed worldwide. But for now, the most commonly performed and acceptable procedure for bariatric surgery is Rox and Y procedure. Then, question number 6. Which of the following is true about Menetrier's disease? So, we will see the options. Mucus secreting cells are replaced by parietal cells. Replacing parietal cells. Mucus secreting cells replacing parietal cells. It is true. In Menetrier's disease, there is foveolar hyperplasia and absence of parietal cells. Okay, so here the mucus secreting cells are replacing mucus secreting cells are replacing the parietal cells. This is true. There is excess production of TGF beta is false. Actually, there is increased production of TGF alpha, not beta. Okay. Then question number 7. In congenital pyloric stenosis, the defect usually lies in the antrum. Okay. In congenital pyloric stenosis, the defect is mainly circular muscle hypertrophy. So here antral circular muscles are mainly responsible for the congenital pyloric stenosis. Then question number 8. Erosive gastritis commonly occurs at it commonly occurs at fundus of the stomach for erosive gastritis. Erosive gastritis commonly occurs at fundus of the stomach, but stress gastritis commonly occurs at body of the stomach. Here, erosive gastritis commonly occurs at fundus of the stomach. Then question number 8. What is the investigation of choice for gastric and duodenal perforation? If there is gastric and duodenal perforation, then the investigation of choice is X-ray chest erect with diaphragm. This X-ray chest erect with diaphragm will show us gas present under the diaphragm. It shows us gas under the diaphragm. So, investigation of choice for any perforation is X-ray chest erect with diaphragm. Then, duodenal ulcer with bleeding managed conservatively. What is the treatment of choice for the following? So, if you have to manage duodenal ulcer conservatively, then the treatment of choice is proton pump inhibitor with amoxicillin and clarithromycin. B is the treatment. Proton pump inhibitor with amoxicillin and clarithromycin is the treatment for duodenal ulcer which is managed conservatively. Okay, so this is answer is B. Fine. These are the important bits in stomach section. Thank you for watching my lecture. Thank you.